All right. Okay, I have a question. I'm going to ask Matt.
Oh, no.
If you could be any cartoon character, who would you be?
JJ the Airplane.
What is that from?
It's just a little kid's TV
That's a
show.
little like white airplane.
No, it's blue. He's got a face. That's the first
That's
thing that
not
came
what I was
into my mind.
expecting at
He's
all.
like flies around.
Man.
That's the first thing that came into my mind. I was like, oh no, cartoons.
Interesting.
Or like Bugs Bunny, because he's pretty sweet.
Bugs Bunny is
There you
cool.
go.
But JJ the Airplane.
All right, I guess I'll ask Athena this.
Okay.
So weird. If peanut butter wasn't called peanut butter, what would it be called?
I don't know. Peanut spread.
I was gonna say like sticky
Goo.
goo.
Sticky goo.
Do you want some of my sticky goo?
I don't know if I would ever taste anything that just said sticky goo.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. Do you have a question, Matt?
No. No, I don't got one.
Okay, Lauren.
I'm sorry.
If you could only wear one color for the rest of your life, what color would it be?
Teal.
That was so fast.
It's my favorite color.
That was good.
I like blue. And I think blue looks good on me.
My favorite color is purple. I don't think it looks good on me.
Oh.
I also like yellow, and I can't do that. Okay, let's go. Welcome back to Quarantine. I'm Athena.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Lauren.
And today we are going to dive into Lent and what that means. But before we do that, Lauren.
So we now have an AWAKEN Catholic app, and we ask that you go to the App Store and download it. You can get all the shows on here. You can connect with the AWAKEN Catholic community. It's a really awesome hub for all of that. And if you like all the shows that we do here at AWAKEN Catholic, we ask that you donate if you're able, and you can go to awakencatholic.org/donate to donate to AWAKEN Nation.
And today's episode is brought to you by Casa Baya Cleaning Service. Casa Baya is a one-stop shop for all things clean. If you live in the Northwest Ohio area, Casa Baya is the ideal option to keep your residence, commercial, or new construction clean. Casa Baya is also one of the only services in Northwest Ohio that provides deep and professional carpet cleaning. Most importantly, right now during the pandemic, keeping your home and offices clean and COVID-19 free is of the utmost importance, and it happens to be a specialty of theirs. That includes doorknobs, light switches, surfaces, ATMs, everything. Get the peace of mind knowing your home or commercial environment is professionally cleaned by visiting casabayacleaning.info today. So, Lent. I feel like when we hear that word,
Everyone's like,
yeah, like we just get, yeah,
Oh no, Lent's coming.
cringy.
right, because it's work.
Yeah,
And so
it's work for sure.
we like to just not think about it, right? I know there's been years that like Lent comes up and they're like, so what are you doing for Lent? And I'm like, that's tomorrow. I haven't thought about that yet.
Yeah.
So I think first it's important to know why we celebrate Lent. And I say celebrate because like that's what we're doing, even if it doesn't always feel like a celebration. That's what we're doing. And if you open your Bible to Joel chapter 2, verse 12, you'll find, come back to me with your whole heart. And really that's what we're doing. So Lent is leading up to Easter, where it is just a really big celebration because Christ comes back. Like he's resurrected. Like
dead, yeah.
he's back. And I think we like to like not do the work, right? Like we like to just think that we're doing fine, doing what we're doing, and like that's okay, and we're gonna leave it like that. But Lent's a time for us to reflect on like, okay, so Christ is coming back. Like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah. And we need to live like Christ. That's what we're doing for these 40 days because Jesus was tempted for 40 days in the desert. Can you imagine being tempted by the devil by yourself in a desert for 40 days? Like 40 days.
Yeah. And all the Catholic Church is asking us to do is to like do something to better ourselves, right? Like they're not asking us to go live in a desert for 40 days and be tempted by the devil. They're literally just asking us to do something, anything to better ourselves, so that when we do come back to Jesus, when we get to meet him at Easter, we are better prepared. Because I think, like with New Year's, you set up these resolutions and you're so excited and it's going to be like the best year ever. And then it starts going downhill. Like this year, man, it was like a weekend and things were still like going crazy. And so then you start to kind of give up and go back to your old patterns. And so by the time that Lent comes, most likely we've given up on whatever we planned for the new year. And we're back to what we were doing the year before. And we're back in this like just this rut of mundane that we're used to. We're just going to stay like that because that's what's easy. And Lent challenges us to step outside of that. And we don't like that because it's uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah, we don't like it at all.
Yeah, I'll be the first to say that I like taking it easy and just being comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just the easiest thing to do, you know?
And I think that if you can change your mindset on Lent, and we can think of it more as the Catholic Church being the good parent that she is, right? Being the good mom. She wants us to be better. And I don't know about you, but like if Christ were to walk in the room right now and sit down and be like, hey, how are you? And want to have a conversation. I don't know if I'm in a place where I'd be like, cool, let's have this face to face. Like, yep, I'm doing great. And I think that's human. That's for all of us. Like, I think if Christ were to walk into a room and ask us, like, how's your heart? We were laughing about that earlier, but how's your heart? Like, I don't know if I'd be ready to sit there and actually be like, this is everything because I mess up a lot.
Right.
So Lent's a time for us to like be ready for that conversation. So if Christ on Easter, if you're sitting in mass and you hear this like quiet little voice say like, how's your heart? You can be like, actually, I'm working on that and it's going okay, right? It doesn't have to be going great, but it's going okay.
Yeah. And I think a big theme or a big phrase for Lent is die to self. And dying to self means that you are being humble and you're putting yourself second and you're putting God first. You're worrying more about, you're not worrying about yourself, right? Like you are just worrying about where God is leading you in life. And like when we get ashes on Ash Wednesday, the priest will say, you are dust and to dust you shall return. So it's all about our journey and where we're going, which eventually we're going to die. And that's where it ties in with dying to ourselves, because we not only will be dying actually at the end of our life, but we need to die in ways to ourselves all throughout our life and each and every day.
And Ash Wednesday is not supposed to be like morbid and depressing.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, I know it sounds like it because we're talking about death, but it's supposed to just be like a reality check for us. It's reminding us that we are not immortal, that the life that we're comfortable in will end. And it's supposed to remind us what our purpose of life is, right? Because it does. We're not meant to live here forever. And we have to remember that as we're doing our day-to-day stuff, because sometimes I think we get so wrapped up in the world that it does feel like we're living for the world. We're living to be here forever as long as we can and get all the nice things we can get. And Ash Wednesday is the perfect way to start Lent because it's just a reminder that like, hey, God's still here. He's got this. And you might be doing it wrong. And here's your reality check of let's do it the right way.
Yeah.
So I think like during Lent, I remember growing up, it was always like, what were you giving up? And like Matt shared.
Yeah.
What did you give up one year, Matt?
I gave up all sweets.
How old were you?
I was probably like 6.
And did that go well?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I ended up just kind of like eating sweets, and I don't know. I definitely set myself up for failure.
Yeah, and I think so one, I remember growing up, I always felt like I had to give something up. Like that was it. Like it didn't matter if I was doing things to better myself. As long as I was giving something up, I was doing Lent right.
And don't make it like green beans.
Because I definitely may have done that one year. I definitely may have been like,
don't
okay,
make it something that you don't eat often or don't like or anyways.
Yeah.
But that's
and
fun.
like you can't give up school, like, you know.
Oh, I wish.
But so one, know that like it doesn't have to be something that you're going to give up, right? Like that makes Lent hard, yes. But sometimes giving up chocolate isn't making you a better person at all. Like it's just making Lent miserable for you. And that's all. So, you know, like setting yourself up not to fail is so, so important no matter what you're doing, right? Whether you're giving something up, whether you're praying more, whatever it is. If you don't open the Bible ever, and you're like, this Lent, I'm going to open the Bible, it is probably not a good idea to be like, I'm going to read the entire Bible during Lent. Yeah. That's not reasonable. You're not going to do that, and then you're going to fail.
A chapter a day.
Yeah.
Or even something as small as just a passage. You
Yeah.
You literally don't open the Bible. Like there's an apps on your phone, you can read passages.
The beauty of the Catholic Church and of Lent is that like there's no set thing, because she understands that we're all different and we're at different spots in our faith. So it doesn't matter if Susie Q over there, who reads the Bible every day, is like, okay, during Lent, I'm going to read the entire Bible. These 40 days, I'm going to get through it. Okay. That's awesome for her. But that's for her because she already reads the Bible. If you're at a place where you don't, start small. Yeah. Maybe it means you don't actually have a Bible yet in your possession. So you download a Bible app and you get a Bible verse sent to you a day. Perfect. Read it. Don't just ignore it, right? Do something that's bettering yourself. Same with giving things up. Like, it's not, if you have a big sweet tooth and you know, like, I can't give up all sweets. Like, I know I will fail. Okay. It's probably not great to start with that. But maybe you start with, okay, my favorite dessert is chocolate cake. So I'm going to give up chocolate cake. And then when that's going well, maybe you're halfway through Lent and you're like, you know what? I'm going to give up candy too. I'm going to add to it because it's getting too easy, right? That's a good way to go. And Lent's not supposed to be easy. Okay. Lent's supposed to be hard. But again, it's supposed to be bettering yourself. So if you're giving something up, it should be something that you are putting before God.
And don't kill yourself when you are like failing. You know? Like if there's just something that you've given up and you're just eating away at chocolate or something and you're just over and over, you just keep failing. Every day's a new day. There's new graces God gives every day. He forgives you. And that's something that like we're broken and we fall. Mm-hmm. And that's something that he wants you to continue to work on during Lent. And that's the point. Like, it's not just to go at it and just, cruise along. Like, it's going to be hard. If you give something up that you don't usually give up or do something that you don't usually do, it's going to be difficult and regardless. So, and another thing is that with, a lot of times we associate giving up something, fasting for something with Lent. But there's three main pillars that go along with Lent, and it's prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. And as I've grown up, I've realized that I don't always necessarily have to give something up. I can do something as well that will be productive and lead me closer to Christ. And so, like, there's been different times that I've, put in my schedule to pray a little more or, spend more time in silence and read, the Bible a little more. Fasting can even be something like maybe you go to bed super late, and this is something that I might work on this Lent is like pushing that back, fasting from that time that you would stay up and like going to bed a little earlier. Or almsgiving, I don't know, like as we're older, it's easier to, give your money to the church, but even like serving or
soup
like
kitchens always need help.
Or going, if you even have, it's hard right now with COVID and nursing homes and everything, but I don't know, even
you can make things and drop them off.
Yeah, you can make
cards. So you can make cards, you can make little bags for them.
Yeah. Or maybe it's calling a family member that's in a nursing home that you don't always talk to, or it's your grandma who you don't always want to visit when your parents will force you to go or something. But
do the window visits. I've seen those on Facebook where you just like pop your head in their window.
Yeah. Those are fun.
Right. So it doesn't have to be anything. Like, things can be very realistic, and I don't know. I feel like you can bend it a little bit. It doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, this isn't necessarily almsgiving. Like, I'm not giving of something, but you're giving time to, like, if you're calling a family member, you're giving that time to them, and you're, I don't know.
Maybe you make it a weekly thing. Like maybe grandma drives you nuts, so you avoid her. So maybe you make it a weekly thing that like, okay, every week I'm going to call on grandma and check on her, right? Like whatever it is. Yeah. I know for me personally, there's been the Lents that have actually made an impact on me are not the ones that I gave up chocolate. I might have done that many times, but they're the ones that I did force myself to pray more. I forced myself in more silent time. I hate silence. You can ask my husband. I forced myself out of my comfort zone to grow in my relationship with Christ, which is what Lent is supposed to be about. So those are the Lents that made the most impact on my life and the most sense to me. So even like maybe you're someone who doesn't pray. So saying an Our Father a day, that's huge. That's huge for you, right? Or even just waking up and saying like, Lord, have mercy on me. It can be super short. That's huge for you. So do that. Like, don't feel ashamed either if like so-and-so is doing like 100 different little things and they're going to be awesome. And like you're committing to one, right? Like don't be ashamed by that because you want to make your Lent count. So you want it to be something that like makes sense to you and it's going to push you out of your comfort zone. It's still going to be tough, but it's going to help you grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just pose this question to you guys too. It just kind of came to me. Like, what if someone would say, I feel like I've been giving up a lot in my life because maybe they're suffering a lot, or there's like a family member who's been super sick, or they've been super sick. They could, maybe someone's going through cancer or just something super serious. And there's just constant family issues in their life. And they just feel like poor almost, like they're just so belittled. And I don't know, like maybe if someone were to say like, well, I feel like my whole life has been a Lent or something like that. Yeah. Like, what would you kind of say to them in that aspect if Lent's coming up?
I mean, I would encourage prayer then more. Cause like this sounds crazy, but most times, even when you're suffering, if you're praying a lot and you're in tune with the Lord, your suffering doesn't suck as much. Like it's true. It really is. So praying more, there's other ways like giving back, right? So if you feel like there's nothing else you can give up, you've given up everything. There are other things you can do during Lent. Maybe it's giving time to your little sister. Maybe it's, spending time talking with the sick person in the family, whatever it is, like there's different things you can do, because remember that our goal in the end is to be Christ-like as much as possible. And sometimes that means that giving something up, that's not going to do it, right? Especially if you're going to fast from video games, okay, fill that with something that was going to lead you to Christ. You cannot fast from video games to play computer games, okay? That's not the same thing. So when you are fasting from things, and maybe it is that you are addicted to chocolate. I've been there, guys. It's a real addiction.
Dark chocolate especially.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I'm more of a milk guy, but
I feel like most guys are.
But there was a year, I want to say it was right out of high school, that instead of like either giving up or like cheating or whatever it was, right, I would say a prayer. So every time I went to get a piece of chocolate, I would force myself to say a Hail Mary. And by the time that was done, then I was like, oh, I can't eat this now. Right? Because I asked Mother Mary to help me and I can't just like ignore her. Yeah. So finding something. So even when a lot of the time when you're fasting from something, prayer ties into that anyways, because you have to ask the Lord for strength not to get that chocolate bar when you're at the store. Yeah. So just remember that like even during this time with the pandemic and with COVID and with a lot of people suffering, that there's still something that you can, maybe it just means during Lent, you turn your suffering into praise. Like you just find reasons that are good to thank the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that you can really do well in Lent. Like don't let Lent go to waste, basically. Like I think that if you recognize what you're giving up or what you're doing is super hot, like it's super tough, super hard, you can grow a lot in your faith and really grow closer to Christ in that, because those are little crosses that we're bearing during these 40 days. And ultimately, Christ, he had the ultimate sacrifice for us on his cross. And so the things that we go through that we are asked to go through it with our faith, like those are just little things, not even close to being compared to what Christ did for us at the end of Lent. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that has really helped me, like if I'm struggling prior and have had those, like, man, my whole life is a Lent, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be something hard to do, you know? Acknowledging that this time isn't necessarily for me, but it's for God and growing closer with him. It plays a big role. And yeah, I know like giving things up and like setting goals for myself, some of them might not fall through, but knowing that this time isn't necessarily for me, right? Mm-hmm. It's for my relationship and it has a purpose. Mm-hmm. So having that drive, having that perspective, ultimately, if you do fail, will carry you a lot farther.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, as we are getting ready or we're in Lent, I'm not sure when this will come out, but that's okay. Just know that like, one, it's never too late to start. So if you forgot about Lent, you went, Ash Wednesdays come by, you don't know what to do. It's never too late to start. And just be ready, right? Be ready and grow in Christ and find whatever it is, little or big, whatever that thing is that's going to help you grow to be more Christ-like.
Amen.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
See ya.
Yep. See ya. Thanks.
This show and all media on Awaken Catholic is made possible by the Awaken Nation and the Hallow app. The Awaken Nation is a community of people like you who support all things Awaken for as cheap as a cup of coffee a week and get access to exclusive content. Learn more by visiting awakencatholic.org/donate. Hallow is the only audio-guided Catholic prayer app focused on contemplative prayer and traditional Catholic meditation such as Lectio Divina, Daily Examen, and the Rosary. We here at Awaken all use Hallow every day and love it. To learn more or give it a try, visit hallow.app/awaken.